Oh no, what are they doing? Oh no. Oh my god! Oh no! Alright, this is a perfect example of sometimes the evidence just speaks for itself. This is awful. And hilarious. Hey Legal Eagles, D. James Stone here teaching you how to think like a lawyer. Today we're going to review Better Call Saul Episode 1. This is really exciting for me because I loved Breaking Bad. And the character of Saul Goodman was particularly good because he gave such good legal advice. Of course, it was legal advice in the context of a drug-dealing psychopath, but still, good legal advice nonetheless. Be sure to like and subscribe to make sure that you never miss out on a future Lawyer Reacts. And of course, be sure to leave your comments in the form of an objection. I will either overrule or sustain your objections based on their legal merit. And of course, stay until the end when I give Better Call Saul Episode 1 a grade for legal realism. So without further ado, let's dig right in to Better Call Saul Episode 1.
This is not all there yet. If we were all held responsible for what we did when we were 19. I remember what it was like to be a kid. Think back. Tell him, Judge, what would you say? These boys.
God, that is exactly what courtroom bathrooms look like. They're just out of the last century. They've got those weird push-up soap dispensers, just horribly dirty. This seems pretty accurate so far.
19. I don't. These three young men. Just like
God. And that's so funny because lawyers really do practice their opening and closing statements in the bathroom before they go into court. That is probably where you'll find most trial attorneys when court is about to start. All right, he gave himself a pep talk.
oh, to be 19 again.
Okay, you can never just storm into the middle of the well, the area between counsel table and the judge. It does seem like there is a prior relationship here between the judge and Saul Goodman, given that the judge sent the bailiff into the bathroom to get him. I'm guessing the judge has interacted with Saul many times before, so he's giving him some leeway, but you can't just burst in there like that. But it seems like he may have had prior permission to do that, so we'll keep watching.
But if you're being honest, really honest, you'll recall that you also had an underdeveloped 19-year-old brain. Me personally, if I were held accountable for some of the stupid decisions I made when I was 19, oh boy, wow. And I bet if we were in church right now, I'd get a big amen.
This is really good. What Saul Goodman is doing is he's making himself seem personable. Your credibility is everything when you're in front of the jury. So you want to make it seem like you are a relatable person. You're just another member of the jury. So he's doing a great job of seeming self-deprecating and forming an emotional connection with this jury in this, what looks like a closing argument. So far, very good.
Which brings us to these three. Now, these three knuckleheads, and I'm sorry, boys, but that's what you are. They did a dumb thing.
That's also really good. When you have bad facts, you need to get ahead of them, to front run them, and to show that you're aware of those bad facts, but to downplay them and to show that they aren't dispositive to your case. So I like what he's done. He's actually making his own clients seem personable. They're young, they're knuckleheads, as he put it. He is making them seem relatable, but also showing that they have made a mistake and trying to get ahead of whatever bad facts are against his case. It's so far pretty good.
Fact one, nobody got hurt. Not a soul. Very important to keep that in mind. Fact two, now the prosecution keeps bandying this term criminal trespass. Mr. Spinazzo, the property owner, admitted to us that he keeps most portions of his business open to the public both day and night. So, trespassing, it's a bit of a reach, don't you think, Dave?
Oh man, I really like this as well. Keep in mind that a trial can go on for days and sometimes weeks. So there are hundreds, if not thousands of facts, dozens of people testifying. A trial is a very complex thing. So what Saul Goodman has done here is reminded the jury of two and only two facts, because a trial is really, really complex, and he just wants them to focus on two things that are particularly good for his case. So he points out that no one got hurt, which may be important from a legal perspective in that one of the elements of whatever crime they're being charged with may be triggered by bodily harm, but more importantly, it shows on an emotional level that there's no need for the jury to punish these boys because no one was hurt. So it dovetails on the emotional. And then the second thing that he focuses on is the legal requirement for criminal trespass not being made. If the property owner gives consent to someone entering their property, then these boys can't be guilty of the crime of criminal trespass. So he's focusing on the one hand on the emotional trigger that no one was hurt, and also on the legal trigger that the element of criminal trespass isn't met. So out of all of the things that the jury learned in trial, he focuses on these two salient points, which are both good for his case. And I think that that is a very good way of going about your closing argument.
Here's what I know. These three young men, near honors students all,
Near honors
feeling
students.
their oats one Saturday night, and they just went a little bananas. I don't know, call me crazy, but I don't think they deserve to have their bright futures ruined by a momentary, minute, never to be repeated lapse of judgment.
Another good
Ladies and
emotional
gentlemen,
point.
You're bigger than that.
That's really good. There are two rhetorical devices that Saul Goodman is using here to great effect. The first is that he is referring to the dramaturgical. So he is putting the jury up on a stage, showing them that people are watching. And number two, he is ascribing the values that he wants to the jury. He's saying that they are bigger than that, hoping that they will rise to the attribute that he has already ascribed to them. So those are two killer persuasive techniques that Saul Goodman has used here. Oh God, what have they done? Oh no, he's just gonna show a video. So because this is closing argument, all the evidence has already come in. So the prosecutor doesn't have to lay any foundation. All of that has already been established during the course of the trial, and the judge has already approved or denied all of the exhibits, including God only knows what's going to be on this videotape.
He's dead. They suck it all out, dumbass.
Awesome. Where did they put it?
All right, I'm through the net phone now, dude. Oh, nice.
Keep going. I'm getting it.
You shot it. All right, all right.
Let me do it.
I got it. All right. All right. Oh, my God.
Oh no.
Let me do it.
Get off. Chill out.
Oh my God.
Wait. Okay, wait for it.
Oh no, what are they doing? Oh no. Oh my God. Oh no. All right. This is a perfect example of sometimes the evidence just speaks for itself. In Latin, that's the phrase res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. And frankly, sometimes it doesn't require any legal argument. You just show the thing itself, and that's bad enough. Sometimes you don't need to gild the lily or pound the rubble. It's just bad enough as it is. And if I was the prosecutor in this particular case, I probably would have done the same thing. Just show the tape, let it speak for itself, and let the jury decide. This doesn't need any argument at all. This is awful and hilarious.
I will if you will, loser. All right.
What the hell kind of math is that?
700 per defense.
No. Defendant. Dent. 3 defendants, 2,100, which, by the way, bargain what I did for them.
They going to jail, ain't they?
So since when does that matter? They had sex with a head.
Didn't nobody tell you.
So I guess in this case, Saul is a public defender. As you may know, there are two types of government attorneys in this context. There are the prosecutors, who are employed by the state to actually prosecute those alleged of crimes. And then there are also public defenders who provide a defense to those who can't afford one. It goes back to the 1960s to a Supreme Court case called Gideon versus Wainwright, which held that under the Sixth Amendment's protection to a trial, defendants were required to have an attorney, because if they didn't have an attorney, the right to an impartial trial would never be upheld, because it would be inherently unfair. So, under Supreme Court precedent, if you cannot afford an attorney, you are provided a public defender. Now, that only applies in the criminal context. It does not apply in the civil context. If you are sued civilly, you're basically on your own, and that's where attorneys like me, a civil attorney, come in, and we save your bacon.
You can tell me what this $26,000 is supposed to be for.
That's money for Chuck. Isn't that what you wanted?
A measly 26 grand. Jesus, you're like Peter Minuit with the Indians. Throw in some beads and shells while you're at it.
It's just a start. There'll be more, unless you're going to just tear them all up.
And why was it made out to me? Why not Chuck?
So he personally told you that it's his wish to withdraw from the firm. See, that would surprise me.
It's been nearly a year since he set foot in here.
Okay, so one of the reasons that Jimmy may not want to cash this check or have his client cash this check is that there is a doctrine in most jurisdictions that says that even if you don't have a written contract, an express contract that is spelled out and has all the terms, you can sometimes enter into a contract by your conduct. So I think he's worried about the idea that if he cashes this check, he may tacitly agree to the terms of this settlement with this other law firm and therefore give them the deal that they want, which is not a deal that Jimmy or his client want. So I think he is worried about forming a settlement contract by his own conduct, but I guess we'll see.
$630. Is that for one fall?
Two.
2 falls in one day. Even at your age, that's gotta hurt.
True that.
All right, well, I got a job for you. How's 2 grand sound?
2 grand for one hit.
One hit. Plus you get to learn from the best.
Okay, I probably don't need to tell you how unethical it is for an attorney to go out and pay people to fake an injury and basically defraud some poor victim. But let's talk about some of the nuances here. If they were to go forward with this plan, they would be engaging in fraud and would be liable for civil and potentially criminal fraud. Now, on top of that, they would not be able to get compensation for whatever injuries that they have. Of course, fraud creates an affirmative defense to the kind of allegations that they would want to create, but more fundamentally, they lack what's called standing. In the US system, in order to go forward with a civil suit, you have to have standing. You have to show that you have suffered an injury. And when you intentionally engage in this kind of conduct, you negate the kind of standing that would give rise to an injury. So not only will they not be able to get compensation because they have defrauded someone, but they also lack the underlying elements of the civil suit. They lack standing and they lack an actionable injury. So if they ever get caught, this is not a good thing for them.
All rise.
Okay, that was the first episode of Better Call Saul, and it did not disappoint. I really look forward to reviewing future episodes of this series. It's great. But now it's time to give Better Call Saul a grade for legal realism. So let's think about this. Well, we have realistic depictions of the monotony of courtroom life. We have some really good arguments being made, trying to appeal to the jury's emotional state. We have big firm attorneys being jerks. We have the unglamorous life of an attorney who is just trying to make ends meet. And we have literal ambulance chasers who are throwing themselves in front of cars. All in all, we have a realistic depiction of a lot of the parts that go into a lawyer's life that rarely get any screen time, with only minimal dramatic license. So I'm giving Better Call Saul Episode 1 an A- for legal realism. Well done. So hit that bell to be notified of my next reaction, and check out this playlist I put together that includes all of my prior reactions, including my reaction to Suits, The Good Wife, and many others. So click on that playlist, and I'll see you in court.